I found a way to speed up my figure face painting, and you know what? Results are quite impressive. From beginners to some experienced scale modelers, painting figure faces is one of the most scariest subjects in scale modeling. But little miniature faces don't necessarily have to be tricky to paint. Just get the right tools, then follow the appropriate technique, and boom, your painting results will be much better. If you stay along the video, I will show you some valuable figure painting tips that probably you don't know. This is Notjustpanzer and welcome to my hobby channel. Today I will be painting this 1/35 scale plastic figure from the Dragon Omaha Beach Infantry box. I upgraded the figure adding a US resin head from Hornet. This resin head makes a huge improvement for this figure, especially for old kids like this one. Like our scale models, everything begins with the assembly. If you want to paint a figure face comfortably, I recommend you to leave the head part separately, so you will handle it better when painting. First, I like to apply to all my figures a nice primer coat. Primer paint will make things easier, unifying the surface and leaving a nice coat for brush painting. Later, using white acrylic color airbrushed from above, I create a basic highlighting sketch. I won't lie, choosing and mixing skin colors is not an easy task. Luckily, there are a lot of different flesh color recipes you can use, like this one that I have used a lot. All of them available from specific modeling acrylic paints. In this particular case, I made my own custom mixes for this figure, because it will be placed in a whole diorama with more elements and figures. So to start painting, first I will start applying the base color. This color is the most neutral of the skin palette, and the one which will be applied around all the flesh areas. Because this is our first brush applied paint color, it's very important to apply it heavily diluted. It doesn't matter if you need to apply a few coats, but this prevents us from losing any face detail. Also, if the figure has so, I like to base coat the helmet or any accessories too. Working in this way will be useful to get a better idea of the different figure colors surrounding the face. Prior to add any lighter or darker color, I like to use the deepest shadow color to make all the little recesses pop. In this case, I applied this dark color in the interior of the mouth. Also, I focused in the eyebrows and eyeballs, so the face expression will be more convincing. Moving now to the highlighting process. When I paint figures, I use a zenithal approach, which means I try to place light or dark colors, following the light scheme created by applying a light source from above. Pay attention to the places where I apply the paint, as they will be exactly the same for the following steps. And what's even more important, every single miniature is painted in this same way. I always like to start painting the tip and main part of the nose. Next, I apply some soft touches in the chin area. Also, you should apply some highlighting color to the upper area of the mouth above the lips. Next step is to highlight the cheeks and cheekbone area. Notice that in this first highlight application, you don't need to be very precise, as it's better to focus in covering all the target areas before moving into the next step. Finally, it's a matter of applying some paint to the eyelid and eyebrows areas. This first highlight application is often hard to notice, but it's key to apply the paint in the precise areas, so there will be no weird color transitions in the future. Every time I move to a following color, I like to apply the paint a little bit more diluted than the previous layer. Working in this way not only helps to control the paint better, but it will be super useful for achieving realistic color transitions. The only thing you have to focus in is to apply a small amount of paint each time, so the highlighted area will be smaller, but the contrast will work better. With this second light shade, color transitions are a little bit easier to see, but we still have some more room for higher contrast. Now, last highlights are applied adding a very light color to the mix. You can see the power of a very light color. The color value difference makes this lightest color to stand out without effort. But if you keep applying the paint in the same areas as with the first colors, the effect will not work. Now that I'm adding the last touches to the light skin colors, you should be getting similar results. Last highlight color has to be applied in a very restricted way. It works as a contrasting color, and as you might see, I don't apply it to the entire face, just to the most exposed parts like the nose, chin and cheekbones. But hey, before adding some contrast to the figure face, let's talk about brushes. I wanted to show you the brushes I usually use for figure painting. Far from traditional beliefs, when painting scale modern figures, using super tiny and thin brushes becomes useless. Instead, if you want to achieve realistic and easy results, give it a try to this kind of brushes. These ones are natural hair brushes, and as you can see, not necessarily small ones. Good quality brushes hold their tip in good condition for years. On the other side, precision and capabilities they have are light years away from common standard synthetic brushes. So you can see how I use the same brush to paint every single part of this face tutorial and judge the results by yourself. So coming back to the workbench, as highlighting by its own doesn't create mind-blowing results, it's time to add some color contrast and definition to the face by applying some shadow colors. Shadow tones should be applied heavily diluted, let's say in 70% water and 30% paint. This kind of darker colors can cover the surface so strong that if we don't dilute them properly, we will ruin the entire work. When I paint shadow colors for my figure faces, I apply the paint in the opposite way as with light colors. Highlighting is applied over the most exposed areas of the face. Now, following again the zenithal approach, shadow colors should be applied in the recesses and facing down parts. I like to start again painting the nose, but now I focused about applying the dark shades in the inner area of the nose and the lower part of the eyebrows. You should paint shadows in the face expression wrinkles and lower lip too. Finally, I focused in creating some shadow transitions in the cheek. Applying the brush strokes downwards so the stronger color accumulation will be facing down. Last and deepest shadows are reserved for the most evident face details. So in this case, I just applied the darkest color in the joint between the nose and eyebrow, and the very shadow area of the lower lip. For painting the eyeballs, instead of using pure white color, I like to use basic skin tone. Now, it's just a matter of taking a deep breath and drawing the eyeball by painting small paint dots in the area, always trying to create an oval shape instead of a rounded one. Painting the pupils, it's easier than you think. In this case, I will be using a dark blue color for them. A big tip for placing the pupils is to take the labial commissures of the mouth as a reference, so keeping that in mind, pupils should be painted just in the segment of the eyeball with matches with the commissures. You can see how these already painted pupils fit perfectly in place just by following this old tip. Although the main face expression is completed, we are far from finished. Teeth were painted one by one using the same light colors as for the eyeballs. When working with these tiny details, you don't have to care about precision. My advice is to focus in representing the main shape of the teeth instead of wasting time trying to be super accurate. Moving to the next step, I painted the tongue using a dark red color, and later adding to the mix a pink tone, I represented some highlighting to the tongue itself. Also with these same lighter pinky tones, I painted the lower lip, applying the base color and one lighter shade. Finally, for finishing the entire work, and once all the details were painted, I decided to recover some of the previous contrast, applying some pure basic skin tone to the most exposed lighting areas. This definitely brings back some nice contrast to the face, making the final result even more realistic. And here it is, a fully painted and detailed 1/35 figure face. Using this zenithal painting technique makes the resin face to become super realistic, enhancing every little corner of the hand-sculpted surface. You can check out this video closely related. I know the process might feel a little bit overwhelming, but honestly it isn't. You just have to follow the steps, and just taking a little bit of practice, you will get better figure faces. Trust me. I hope you found this video useful or at least interesting. So thanks for watching, and I see you in the next one.